Today, we are diving deep into one of the most important and, believe it or not, one of the most misunderstood parts of your golf bag, your irons. We're going to really decode a specific category of clubs that could genuinely, seriously, transform your score. And it's all based on a massive head-to-head test of the best ones on the market right now.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with a weirdly common psychological block a lot of golfers have. Then we'll lay out what this category of clubs is all about, meet the 7 big contenders, and then, the fun part, we'll narrow the field and count down the top 5 to crown a single, undisputed champion, and figure out exactly why it won.
So let's kick things off with a strange paradox. The very clubs that are engineered to help the vast majority of golfers are often the ones they flat out avoid. And according to our source material, it all boils down to a 2-word phrase they think is, well, a little bit naughty. And there it is. That's the core idea. Game improvement. I mean, it sounds like a good thing, right? But what the experts are saying is that the name itself, it kind of implies you need help, that you have a weakness. And because of that little perception problem, not nearly enough players have these game-changing clubs in their bag. It might be the most popular category in golf, but it should be way, way more popular. So that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If these things actually work, what is stopping people from using them? Well, the experts in our source don't mince words. They say it's one thing: ego. Plain and simple. But if you can just get past that, you might unlock a level of performance you didn't think you had. Okay, so let's set the ego thing aside for a minute and get down to brass tacks. What are we actually talking about here? What are game improvement irons, and who are they really for? Let me put it this way. These are the clubs for basically anyone who isn't getting paid to play golf tomorrow. You know, they're for the higher handicapper, sure, but also for the player who's getting a little older, the junior who's just starting out, heck, for anyone whose swing just isn't as fast as it used to be. They are literally engineered to make golf easier and, let's be honest, a whole lot more fun. These clubs are like a Swiss Army knife for the most common frustrations in golf. They're often designed to be draw-biased, to help fight that nasty slice. They've got tech to help you get the ball up in the air. The lofts are usually a bit stronger to give you more distance. And maybe most importantly, they are packed with forgiveness, which means even when you don't hit it perfectly, the ball still ends up in a pretty darn good spot. So, now that we've set the stage, our source experts went out and gathered 7 of their absolute favorite game improvement irons you can buy today. These are the heavy hitters, the best of the best, all lined up for a head-to-head battle.
And here's the field. What a lineup. You can see each one has its own special sauce, right? Cobra's got its power shell and hot face. TaylorMade is optimizing each individual club. Callaway's using its AI smart face. They all bring a unique flavor to the table, but they're all chasing the same thing, making your game better. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. The testers didn't just look at the specs. They went out and hit every single one of these clubs back to back to really feel the differences. And after all that hard work, they had to make 2 really tough cuts to get us down to the final 5. So, who didn't make it? First to go was the Srixon ZX4. Now, it's a fantastic club, but the testers felt it was actually the toughest one to hit in this group, and probably a better fit for a more skilled player. Next up, the Callaway AI Smoke. They literally called this club a delight to hit, a real treat. But in a field this stacked, being a delight just wasn't quite enough to crack the top 5. The competition was just that fierce. And just like that, we've got our final 5. According to this test, these are the absolute best of the best in game improvement. So now, the really fun part begins. Let's start the official countdown.
All right, here we go. Kicking off the final rankings. Coming in at number 5 is
the TaylorMade Qi. And look, this club does everything it promises. It is forgiving, it looks fantastic, it absolutely performs. But for the testers, the one little thing that held it back was the sound, the acoustics. They just felt it was a little too clicky compared to the feel of the top 4.
All right, claiming the number 4 spot, it's the Mizuno Hot Metal High Launch. And as that name suggests, this thing is hot. It's long, it's fast, and it has that legendary soft Mizuno feel that people rave about. So what's the knock? Well,
It's purely about looks. The reviewers felt it was the thickest and, in their words, most unattractive of the final 5, and that's what kept it at number 4.
Okay, now we're on the podium. Taking the bronze medal, in at number 3.
Is the Cobra Dark Speed. The testers absolutely loved this one. They called it enjoyable to hit, said it had a great sound and a really soft feel. Plus, it's one of the best-looking irons in the bunch. So, what held it back from the top spots? It's apparently really hard to blend it into a combo set with other Cobra irons. And for some players, that's a big deal.
And here we are, our runner-up, just missing that top spot, coming in at number 2.
Is the PXG Gen6 XP. This club apparently feels fantastic. The testers describe the feeling at impact as spongy and squishy in the best way you can imagine. From an aesthetic standpoint, it's a huge winner, giving players the most options if they do want to build a combo set. A truly awesome performer that came incredibly close to taking the crown.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. The number 1 game improvement iron, the undisputed champion, as decided by this massive test, is
the Cleveland ZipCore XL. And this wasn't even a close call. The testers were completely unanimous, and they said there is a huge separation between number 1 and number 2 in this category. They were crystal clear. This is the winner, and it's not even a debate.
So the big question is why, right? What made the Cleveland ZipCore XL such a runaway blowout winner? It wasn't just one thing. It was a perfect, unbeatable formula of tech, feel, and one other massive, massive factor. And this is it. This is the winning formula. First, and this is huge, it was the most affordable iron in the entire test. Second, it is packed with Cleveland's best flagship technology like ZipCore and mainframe, so you're not sacrificing performance for price. And third, the testers raved about the sound and feel, calling it a nice crisp crack that just felt so good. So the takeaway is pretty simple and pretty incredible. You get the most technology for the cheapest price. So if you're a golfer who could use a little more forgiveness and a little more distance, the experts make it pretty clear where your search should probably start.